Welcome to the testing world. In this session, we will start API testing using REST Assured. It's a library in Java with the help of which we can automate REST API. So in this session, I will show you a very basic test case in which we are going to work on GET request. Previously, we have covered what do you mean by get, post, put and delete. But in this session, we will start making a GET request and fetching the response. Moving to next step, these are the steps we are going to follow. As a step 1, we will create a Java project on the Eclipse. We will convert that project into the Maven format and add dependencies. Means that's a prerequisite to start API testing using REST Assured. So first, I'll go and create a Java project on Eclipse. That is Eclipse. I'm just going to the file, new Java project. You can give any name. I'm just giving REST API automation. Now it's a simply Java project. Previously we also covered what is Maven, how to set up Maven and what is the use of Maven. So this is the project. Here we need lot of libraries. We can call it dependency. So as of now we are going to use REST Assured, which is a library. We need that library. Apart from it, we are going to use testng. So we need testng library as well. So I will convert my project into the Maven format so we can define all dependencies in the pom.xml. And what do you mean by the pom.xml Maven? We already covered in the previous sessions. I'll just go to the project, right click, configure, convert to the Maven project. So we are converting our Java project into the Maven format. We need not to change anything over here. Just click on finish. As you finish, my Java project is converted into the Maven format and you will get a file with the name pom.xml. So as a step 1, first we have created a Java project, then we converted that project into the Maven format. Now we need to get some libraries. We also call it dependency in terms of Maven. So as we want to work on REST Assured, which is a library for API automation in Java. Also, we need one more library with the name testng because we are going to write our test cases in testng format. So we need two dependency. One is REST Assured and other one is testng. So I'll just go simply pom.xml dependency. Okay, how to fetch these libraries? For that, I'll go to the maven repository.com. That is mvnrepository.com. Here I'm saying I need REST Assured. Just search it. You will get this REST Assured. Yes, I need this. And latest version is 4.4.0. Just click on it. Here I have a group ID. Copy. Add. So I'm adding my dependencies, means I want to get REST Assured library. So that is my group ID. I'll just copy and place here. And then we have artifact ID. Copy and paste it. Version, it's 4.4.0. And you can keep this scope compile. Just click on add. Okay, it added one library. I want to add one more library with the name testng. So simply come again here on mvn repository. I need testng and the latest version is 7.4.0. So I'll take the latest version. Whatever the latest version you are getting, you can use that. Copy, paste. And paste. So once you add all these dependencies, just use Ctrl S, means I'm saving it. Once you save it, after that you will get all these dependencies, or you can call it library, here under the Maven dependencies. After that, we need to go to project build path, configure build path. So we have downloaded TestNG libraries. We want to use this library in our project. So we need to go here in the build path and go to the libraries, add library and just select TestNG. Next, finish. Okay. So now we are ready to write test cases in TestNG format. Means my step 1 is done, where we need to create a Java project, convert into the Maven and add dependencies. So I can say my prerequisite is done. Now we can move to the step 2. So as a step 2, we need to fetch endpoint, we want to save it to the variable, and we want to write test case into TestNG format. Here for practicing, we have some sample APIs. So you can use these sample APIs for practice purpose. So I'm just going to a website with the name thetestingworldapi.com. You will go to the API. So these are the API which are already deployed for practice purpose. And these are the API of a project with the name Student Management System. So here by using these API, you can add new student, you can fetch data of the student, you can update, you can delete. So we have different API. You can practice by using these API. So I'll start with fetching the data. So if you check it here, I have a API with the get method. Get means we are going to fetch data. So I'm going to use this API. Now, whenever we are working on the API, first we need endpoint. Endpoint means API URL. So I'll simply fetch, that is my base URL. I'll just copy and paste, and that is my relative URL. As of now, I have a student with the ID 300,000, which is 3 lakhs. So 3 and 5 times 0. So I want to fetch data of the student having this ID. This student is already exist in my system. Later on, we will add new student into the system and we will use that. But as of now, you can use this number or any other number, whatever you want. So that is my endpoint. As a step 2, we need to write a test case in the TestNG format and create a variable to save this endpoint. Simply go to Eclipse. Here I'm coming to SRC, which is source. I want to write code. For that, as we know, we need to create a package. So go to the SRC new package. What is the name of the package? So I'm just giving the name of the package like org.web.api.automation.testcase. That is my package name. Okay, inside the package, I want to create a class. So that is the class TC001 and validate student fetch data. Okay, that's my first test case. As we already covered TestNG, in TestNG, you want to write a test case, so you can create a method like public void validate student data. And I want to treat this method as a test case. So I will use test annotation. As a prerequisite of this automation, we need to have understanding of Java. We should have understanding of TestNG and Maven. So in previous lectures, we have already covered Java in detail. We have already covered TestNG and we've already gone through how to work on the Maven. So now we are using all these things with rest assured. So here it is giving me error because we did not import that class. So I'll just click on this. It says, okay, would you like to import it? Yes. Now my method is ready, which is a test case method. We are ready to write code. We have completed step 1 and also we have completed step 2. And in the step 2, we have created a test case in the TestNG format. Now, whatever the URL you fetch, you want to save it to the variable. So we know how to create variable in Java. I'll simply come here and I'm creating a variable like string get endpoint. You can give any name of this variable, so or I can say get student endpoint. What is the value? So hope you remember that is the endpoint. Just copy and paste it. So now my step 2 is also done. Here we have created a test case. We have written a test case in testng format. We fetch API endpoint and store into the variable. Now we are moving to step 3. Means you can say now from this point we are going to use rest assured library. So by using that library you can simply make different requests like get request, post request, put request, delete request, and many other requests you can make. So here in this session I'll show you only how we can make a get request, and whatever the response we are getting we want to save it. Okay, for making a get request I'll simply go to my test case. Here we already have a class with the name rest assured. This class exists in the library which we have downloaded through Maven. So that is the rest assured library we have downloaded. Inside this library we have a class with the name rest assured. So I'm just using that class rest assured, and inside that class we have a method with the name get. You are making a get request. It says okay, you need to pass the URL here. When we pass URL, it will return me response. So what I'm doing, first of all, my URL is stored in this variable. When we make a request, it will give me a response. So you can take it like whatever the response we are going to get, I'm just storing like this. So we are making a get request on this URL. Whatever the response we will get, we will store in this response. Now I'm going to execute this test case. So that's my run button. Run. As we run, here it is executing through testng, and if you check it the response, it shows executed. There is no error. So as of now, request is taking place. Whatever the response we get against this request, we store that. We are not printing and using anything. But as of now the test case is executed. We are not using and printing anything. That I'll come to next. So here we make a request and we are not getting any error, means everything is running fine till now. Okay. So as a step 3, we make a get request, and whatever the response we are getting, we are just saving it. Now I'm moving to the step 4, fetch details. Means the response that we are getting, I want to fetch details from there. So we are going to perform these simple tasks. First of all, we need to write a test case in the testng format, make a get request, that we have done. Now we want to save and display response, display status code, display header values. So I'll come to that. First, I want to show you response code. You can call it response status code. So I'm just simply writing like system.out.println, whatever the response we got, dot get status code. So we have a method with the name status code. So when we make a request, when we make this request, we are getting a response. Whatever the response we got, from this response, just fetch the status code. I'm just going to run it. When we are making a get request, we should get 200 status code. So if you can see, it is printing 200, or you can print like this, status code is, and we are going to print whatever the status code we are getting. So here in this step, we are fetching, printing status code. Okay, next I want to fetch headers. So we know that when we are getting a response, there are two sections of the response. One is header and other one is the body. So I want to fetch header values, all the headers of the response. So here I want to fetch and display headers of response. For that, I'm just simply using system.out.println all headers value, and I want to print headers. So response dot get headers. So as of now, I'm fetching all headers. just going to execute this. You will notice it will print status code as well as header. So that was my status code, and from here all the headers displayed here. So these are the header value we are getting in the response. Okay, if you want to fetch any specific header, like I want to fetch this date header, so means I want to fetch whatever we are getting in front of the date. So what we can do, fetch specific header value. Okay, for that again I'm going for response dot. Previously we have used a method get headers. Now I'm going to use a method get header. Which header you want to fetch? So I want to fetch header which is date. Okay, so I'm just printing the date. For the time being I'm just commenting all headers. I just want to display only the date header. Running it, waiting for the response. Once we got a response, you can check here, that's my status code and that is my date header. So here we have seen we can fetch and display response, but response has the two content, one is header and other one is the body. So we have seen how we can fetch all the headers and any specific header. Also we have seen how we can fetch status code. Next I'm coming to how we can fetch response and display body content. So as we know, in response we can have header as well as body. So previously we have seen how we can fetch all header or how we can fetch any specific header. Now I will show you how we can fetch body content of the response. Okay, let's go here, and that's a test case which we have created previously. Fetch body content of response. For fetching the body content we have two methods. One is response.asString, means whatever the response we are getting, display as a string. So it will display body of the response. Okay, let me just show you. Run the test case, running the test case here in the response. Just come here, and if you can see, that is the body we are getting in the response. We are fetching the body of the response and printing it. We have one more method which is like response dot as pretty string, which is going to show response body in a formatted way. So let's see the difference between as a string and as pretty string. Running it. So here you can see the difference. That was the as a string. So it is just showing you in a single line as a string, but when you are using as pretty string, it is displaying in a formatted way. So that is the difference between these two methods, but both methods are used to fetch body of the response. So here we have seen how we can make a get request, how we can save response, how we can fetch response body, response headers. So that's all about a get request. In next session, I'll show you how we can make a post request, then put and delete. And later on, I'll show you how we can go for the validation. You can call it assertions. Now in this session, I will show you how we can validate the response. Because we know whenever we are writing a test case, our test case will complete after doing validation. So here I will show you how we can apply validation on the response. So we will apply validation on the response content, response code, response header values, body content, and response content using JSON path. So previously we already covered what is JSON path and how to write JSON path. We are going to use that. Okay, let me move to Eclipse, and that was our test case which we have written previously. I'm just going to execute it one more time. So you will notice in response we are getting, that is the body content, and that's a status code. Also previously we have seen how we can fetch any header value. So if you check it, that is the header value which we are printing. Now let's apply some validations. Means by using this validation, or you can call it assertion, we can compare actual result with expected result. So whenever we are doing any kind of testing, it could be manual testing or automation testing, in everywhere we will have to compare our actual result with expected result. Accordingly, we can say test case is passed or failed. Now I'll show you how we can apply these assertions, or you can call it validations, here in API testing. Okay, what I do, I'll just make a copy of the same test case, and I'll create one more test case with the name TC002 validate student fetch data assertions. So I just change the name of the second test case. Okay, now I will go to the second test case. Okay, previously we are just printing this value, but now I'll not print. We will do some validation. So here we are getting status code, and I want to validate the status code. As we are using testng, in testng there is a class with the name assert. So this is the class by which we can compare actual result with expected result. So I'm using that class assert dot assert equal. I'm calling a method which is a static method because we are calling it through the class name. So here first we need to pass what is your actual value. So I want to validate the status code. So my actual value is coming in the response which I'm fetching through this response.get status code. So I can say that is my actual value. Okay, what is your expected value? So I'm expecting my status code should be 200. So we have applied one validation, we can call it assertion, on status code. So I'm saying that is my first validation. So whatever the response we are getting, we are fetching the status code from there, and we are validating it should be 200. As of now, this test case is going to be passed because our status code would be 200. So let's run it. I'm just running it. This test case is going to be passed because status code is 200 and we are expecting 200, and in real it is 200. Okay, what I do, I'm expecting my status code should be 201. So in this case you will notice actually it is 200, but we are expecting 201. Here this assertion will fail and my test case will fail. So let's execute this. If you notice, test case is failed here in this case. It shows that is an assertion error. My expected result is 201, but actually it is 200. So here we have seen how we can validate status code. Okay, as of now I'm just correcting it. I'm expecting 200. Whatever status code will come, it will just compare, it should be 200. We have seen how we can validate response code, or you can call it status code. Now I want to validate header values. So if you remember, previously we are running this, we are fetching all header values. I'm going to show you. So these are the header values. I want to validate any specific header. So let's take an example. I want to validate my server. It should be this, or you want to validate this server header. How we can do it? Okay, for this I'm just coming here, just commenting that line because that is printing all header values. Now here I want to assert, I'm applying assertion on header value. And which header? It's a server. Okay, you can check it, it was server. Okay, now again I'm putting the same assertion like assert dot assert equals. Okay, what is your actual value? and also expected value. So expected value, I'm saying my expected is this, actual will come, actual we will fetch from the response. Which header you want to fetch? I want to fetch server. So that is the second assertion we have placed, and that is on the header. So we can validate status code, we have seen, we can validate header values. Okay, let's run it. And here it is getting pass. Why? Because header value is matching. Okay, let's take an example. I'm expecting my header server should be this. Server value should be this. Running it. As we run it, it is going to be failed, and if you check it why it's failed, so it shows you are expecting your header value should be this, but actually it is this. So here we have seen how we can validate header values. Next I'll come to how we can validate response body content. We have two approaches. I'll show you both approach. One is the body content and other one is the body content using JSON path. Okay, what is the difference between them? I'll explain. I'm just coming to here, and hope you remember it is just printing body content. I'm just correcting this valid expected value because now this is going to be pass. Now I want to apply validation or assertion on the body of the response. So that is the body of the response, and I want to validate in this body I should get true. So here what I'm doing, I'm expecting anywhere in this body we should get true. I'm not giving the exactly in front of status. I'm saying in this body we should get some value. So as of now I want to check in the response content I should get true, and we are not giving any expectation where it should be. It can be anywhere, but we should get true. Okay, so what we can do, previously we are calling a method assert equals, which is comparing two values. Now what I'm doing, I'm calling another method assert true, means I'm expecting whatever the condition I'm going to give, it will return true. So what is my condition? I'm saying this is the response which we are getting. Check, it's simple contains, I'm using contains, it should contain the value true. So here you can simply understand, in the bracket I'm writing a condition. Whatever the response content you are getting, check inside that content we should get the value true. So when this condition will run, output will be either true or false. If it is true, we are expecting true, and this condition is also giving true, means test case is passed. But if the response of this condition is false, we are expecting true but it is false, so it will fail. But as of now it is going to be pass. So if you notice, that is pass because we are expecting true and actually it is true. We are expecting this true should be in the response, we are getting that, so that is because my assertion is getting passed. Okay, what I do, I'm expecting in my response I should get a word hello. If we are getting this word in the response, it will pass, else it will fail. So let's run it. And you will notice in response we are not getting hello anywhere. Because of that it is failing, because we are expecting this hello should be there. So if there is a hello, this condition will give true and we are expecting true. But in this case, there is no hello in the response, so we are getting false here and we are expecting true, means test case is failed. Assertion is failed and test case is failed. If you are not getting this assertion, don't worry about that, because later on we are going to cover these assertions in very detail. These and many more assertions in very detail. Now last I will show you how we can validate content in the response by giving JSON path. So if you take an example, I want to validate my first name and I want this Shuvi is the name it should come exactly in front of first name. So we'll have to write JSON path. How to apply assertion using JSON path, that I'll show you now. What is JSON path? How to write JSON path we have already covered in the previous sessions. So I'm saying fetch, or I would say validate body content using JSON path. Okay. Now again I'm writing assert dot assert equals. Okay, first is actual value and second one is expected. So my expected is, I'm expecting my response first name should be Shuvi. So that is my expected. Okay, what is your actual value? For getting the actual value, first of all, we are getting our response. So we know that if we want to fetch the response body, we will write response dot as a string. Here on the place of as a string, we will use JSON path. So what I'm saying, I will apply JSON path. We are saying JSON path means whatever the response you are getting, I want to apply JSON path on that body. Okay, where is your JSON path? So I'm saying dot get string. Here we need to give our JSON path. So if we check in our case, for the first name, the JSON path would be data dot first name. So I'm simply giving data dot first underscore name. That's my JSON path. So if you can see, I'll just explain it again. First of all, we are saying in the response, I want to apply JSON path. Okay, what is your JSON path? So for that we are using get string, means I'm giving a JSON path, just fetch value from the response. So what it will do, it will just go and fetch by the JSON path, it will fetch whatever the value of this first name, and now we are comparing it with the expected value. So that's a straightforward. I'll explain one more time. Whatever the response we are having, just apply JSON path. Where is the JSON path? So we have another method with the name getString. Fetch the value by using getString, means fetch value by using this JSON path. And as I told you before, we are going to cover all these assertions in very detail in coming sessions. I'm executing and that is getting failed. Let's check. It is not failing on the JSON path. It says true and false, means it is failing somewhere here. Okay, I'll just comment this assertion. Now it will execute my last assertion, which is a JSON path assertion, and as of now it should pass because that is same. So no error here. Okay, what I do, I'm expecting my first name should be testing. In this case, this test case is going to be failed because the last assertion, which is fetching value by using JSON path, is failing. You can check it. It failed because we are expecting testing, but actually it is Shuvi. Hopefully you got understanding about how to validate the response against a GET request. And these validation would be same, does not matter you are making a GET request, POST request, put or delete. So validation would be same, or I would say approach to write these assertions would be same. So here we've seen how we can put assertions on a response. As of now we are using a GET request. So we applied all these assertions, response of this GET request. That's all we have. Thanks for watching this video.